traveler.
I have no time for games.
The end is coming! Who am I?
Let me change your mind.
You require my assistance? A deal! We're gonna be rich!
I have no time for games.
Inferno! You require my assistance? Who am I?
Let me change your mind.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to week 10 of Tavern Talk, THL's premier prediction show. My name is Dr. Fish. I am your op. I am your main host for tonight, and alongside me, I have two wonderful guests. First, to my right on the screen is one of the current top 3 crossover players this season, the 2-time in a row crossover player of the year from the last 2 seasons, personal friend of mine, AFG member, member of Orcs and other teams. We've got Neji Boston. Hello, sir. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for the introduction there.
All right.
Looking forward to discussing some playoff matches tonight.
Definitely. And with me, he was here a couple of weeks ago. He has completed a heel turn and has renamed himself in the Discord. After doing some very mean things to someone. on stream in a match. We have the 2 seed of a Noyo team who is currently fighting in Legacy playoffs. He's a member of Mancrick's multiple wives. We have Nice Jewish Owl. Hello, sir. How are you?
Oh, hello, hello. Hey, I'm also
Awesome.
currently top 8 in crossover
He,
stats.
yeah,
Jesus.
top 8 in crossover stats. Indeed, yes, I had not gotten myself caught up on it.
Yeah, I noticed I was on that page when I was checking earlier before the show.
Yeah, switch that over. Anyways, um, so tonight we are covering a lot of things. There's not much time to waste, so let's jump right in. We have 2 series that are not in playoffs right now, and in the interest of giving more time to the later things, we're gonna start to the Hall of Fame announcement later after the commercial break to the quarterfinals for both Legacy and Pro. We will start off with Hero Series here. I'm gonna put the first match on the screen, and this was picked by Neji Boston. So if you want to go ahead and talk me through No Pros here and vote of some confidence.
Yeah. So in the 1 seed this week, we have Agent PWE versus Heat Shock. Then we have don't know how to say this one properly. Carvalho.
Yes, you got it correct.
Okay. Carvalho versus Ufric. Your Mum Kid versus Arhat in the 3 seed. Disco versus Boolean in the 4. And Quaz versus Jimphilus in the 5. This match has some big playoff implications for Vote of Some Confidence. We have 2 weeks left in Hero right now, and Vote of Some Confidence is just outside, I believe, just outside of a playoff spot right now. So getting some big points here would be huge for them, but they are against the Titan that is No Pros here, who are currently in first place and holding that position strong. So it's going to be a tough week for Vote of Confidence, but I'm sure they can get some good points and climb a bit into the playoff race going to the final week.
Yeah, definitely a big week for these two teams for Vote of Some Confidence. Obviously, No Pros here doesn't want to slack off in these last couple of weeks, but I think they're pretty much all but locked in for playoffs. I'm not sure if they actually are mathematically locked or not, but I think looking at these matchups, there's definitely some interesting things going on here. Carvalho versus Ufric would be an absolute banger of a match to have on stream. And just in general, like those two are probably gonna have a great match. Carvalho brings some really interesting tech. Last time I watched him play, he had a hunter deck that was kind of like built around using using the trampling rhinos to kind of do like an OTK type of setup. Which was really cool to watch. And Ufric's just become a very solid player, taking over the 2 seed spot for at this season. There are quite a lot of matches where the records would indicate that it would be favored for vote for No Pros here, with your Mumkid 8 and being like 8-1 and being on the precipice of actually going into the 2 seed. I think, but in our hat being at 4 and 5, and then obviously Agent and Heatshock having complete opposite records. I think the lower 2 seeds are going to be close matches. And it could come down to those two. With I would lean towards Agent and your Mumked winning their matches. I would never want to count our hat out though. He's very strong. And Heat Shock as well. I would just lean towards those who have a really strong record. What do
Everything that has been said makes a lot of sense for me. I think No Pros here definitely looking pretty strongly favored, just looking at records, PR, all that stuff. But I think for Vote of Some Confidence, even if they lose this week, they're really going to be trying to just scrounge as many points as they can out of that loss because in Hero, No Pros here is pretty far and away above the rest of the competition in terms of playoffs. But there's a lot of teams that are competing for the rest of those playoff spots, and Vote of Some Confidence is one of those teams that is in that sort of scrounge for those spots.
For sure. Want to get as many points as you can every week. Even in like the interesting part about Hero this season, I've seen a lot more sweeps than I was expecting this season. Because I figured like, oh, there's not a lot of like super polarizing matchups, so like maybe there would be a better chance of not having a lot of sweeps, but it turns out that kind of almost creates the opposite effect. Where you get more matchups that you can just kind of scam and get a sweep off of. So it'll be interesting seeing how these teams roll into playoffs. Speaking of teams that are looking to get into playoffs or secure a better spot for themselves in the race, move to our next match. We've got Wherever I May Roam versus Dabs on him.
Yeah, so I picked this match just because it's one of those matches where both of these teams are still very much in the running for those playoff spots, and this is a match where if one team is able to get a big victory, they could pretty much set themselves up to squeeze into playoffs off of that. Um, and we already have one game in on this match, 3-1 for Astral Frog, which is definitely a good start for Dabs on him. But I still think Wherever I May Roam might be the slight favorites in this match. Um, Based Inc. has been going on an absolute tear this season. We were talking about how Neji was top 3 in crossover, or actually
Base
second
is
place
number
in
one.
crossover.
Yeah.
Based is number 1 right now. Yeah.
I wasn't sure how
So-
Neji and Python.
Yeah. I think Ron also though has been having a really strong season in both Hero and Pro. So I think it's going to be an interesting match. I have to favor Based slightly, but I don't think that one's going to be a sweep.
Yeah.
And that, although then of course it comes down to that 3, 4, and 5 seed, and just seeing sort of who's able to get those points. Roadrunner's been having a pretty rough season, but he's still a very, very strong player, and I wouldn't expect a loss, I should say, even if the PR and the record would say that he's unfavored. I wouldn't count him out. I think I'd have to favor Big Ted over Seth just based on PR, based on record. And of course, then it comes down to Diamond versus Anfall, and Diamond is in the chat, so I'm not going to insult him. But I do think Diamond is slightly unfavored in that match.
Yeah. I think what's really helping what's really helped Wherever I May Roam is the success of Ron Mexico and Big Ted. And then Donde and Anfall kind of being around that 500 mark. I think it has like this team was dumpster. This team was like maybe either 1-4 and 0 or 0-4, and they found their stride and they've been just killing it every week, scrounging out, getting the match wins. They took a very close one last week against my team. Roadrunner and I had an extremely close match that I barely pulled off. And Dabs on him, another team I'm familiar with, and Diamond swept me 2 weeks ago. So imagine not sweeping. Could not have been me. But Diamond versus Anfall is going to be an interesting matchup. I think I mean I would favor Big Ted over Seth. Based in Ron, AFG on AFG actions. I just want to see good Hearthstone. I'm not going to root for any of the two players particularly. And then I'll go for my boy Buse, because Buse don't lose. No, I'm not picking a side between my two teammates. I'm not. You can't make me. um, yeah. So we really don't have any like in the interest of time. Um, I've decided to really only do 2 matches per series for this. Hero season, was mentioned on around the saloon last night, is very very tight series in terms of points for um the various teams. Um, so I'll let you guys give thoughts on the series while I set up for Wild. Um,
Yeah. Very close series right now. I believe the top 6 teams make it into playoffs, and the teams in third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth are separated by 10 points from third to eighth. So that gives you an idea of how close it is right now. It's going to be a wild last 2 weeks here, trying to figure out who makes it.
Yeah. Okay. To comment on that, there is a 1 point difference between sixth and eighth. So especially that last slot for playoffs, that could really be anyone's.
Definitely.
yeah, there's no teams. There's no teams that are technically out of the playoff race yet. Um, Next week it's very likely that 2 of the teams will be mathematically eliminated at least. Between with Inferno, DHL, and F2L Black, being just on the cusp of pretty much needing to sweep out playoffs. So yeah, I think Hero is going to be interesting how it plays out next week, and we'll give Hero and Wild some good extra time next week covering their playoff races. Um, so yeah, let's move into Wilds here. We're gonna start with Mancrick's Revenge versus Nothing Can Stop Us. These two teams, Mancrick's Revenge and Nofin, they are um they're very close in points. Obviously, 1 point separates them. And so I'm actually really interested in this matchup because this can have some good playoff implications for seeding for these two teams. There's 6 teams obviously that make it out of this, similarly to Wild, or similarly to Hero. They follow the same format. And so let's look at the matches. We've got PCDS versus No AH in the 1. We've got Oddlaw versus Quake Lord in the 2. Sinister Me versus Yo Daddy in the 4, or in the 3 seed. Gumby versus Seth in the 4, and then in the 5 we got Lefty 2111 versus Glare. So I'm very interested in the 1 seed matchup. For sure. I think having players who are 8-1 and 7-2 going up against each other is always interesting. And I definitely expect some high level Hearthstone to come from these players. Oddlaw, I actually got to play Oddlaw in an emergency sub situation last week. He was quite good. He took it 3-2 over me, reverse sweeping my Raza Priest. So yeah, I think that'll be a close one with Quake Lord, because Quake Lord's also in Sinister Me versus Yo Daddy. Records wise, I think it's pretty close. I might favor Yo Daddy overall. Seth versus Gumby. Gumby being 3-2, coming in towards the middle of the season for Lord Zav, and has done pretty well for himself in this spot. I think this might be one of his first weeks outside. Might be one of his first weeks in the 4 seed, although I'm not sure how Lefty's record's been in Wild. Regardless, I think I favor Seth. And then I think between Lefty and Glare, I think it's just going to depend on Dex in the 5 seed. I might favor Glare. I know Glare's a very good Wild player, but he is 1-6. So he seems to be struggling in Conquest format right now. So we'll see, because Lefty is also a veteran of playing, of like THL in general. So I don't count him out. Unless this is like unless I just don't know how lopsided this matchup actually is. So yeah, I think NoFin takes this 3-2 with I'll say PCDS and Lefty getting.
Yeah, this is a super close one. Two teams that are really fighting for those playoff spots. I agree. I think it's probably going to be a 3-2 in the end. Every single matchup all the way down honestly could go either way. So I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. I think Dex could play a huge part in this match.
Big agree.
Yeah, I would definitely expect this match to be a very close one. I think 3-2 is probably a reasonable prediction. The question, of course, is where it's going to come. Because I think most of these matches honestly just look pretty even. I think any of them could go either way, and that's why we're all predicting 3-2s.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult when I don't quite know every player, and how good they necessarily are. But I do know that Quake Lord and like the top three for NoFin are very strong. Mancur's Revenge has kind of got a really, like, a lot of the players are getting, like, they're 5-2-2 because obviously with 2 extra ties they're still like getting, like, NoFin's getting pretty much the same amount of points in losses that Mancrix is getting in ties. Kind of crazy overall. So I might like, it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes. And we have yes, we can go on to our next match. This one Neji picked out. I mean, obviously this match is picked by Neji. It's F12 Viridian versus Wild THL Fanatics. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, so we got the team I'm playing for, F12 Viridian, and we're facing Wild THL Fanatics. Honestly, this could be a close week. We have Get Me Out versus Slod in the 1 seed, and Slod giving Get Me Out his first loss of the season already. So not starting off great for us, but hopefully we can bounce back. 2 seed, we have Corbett versus Turtle. I probably favor Corbett there. Corbett's been killing it this season. Marty versus Dr. BOMD in the 3 seed. That'll probably be a pretty close match. Then I have myself versus Electric Sheep City. We'll see how that one goes. I still gotta work my deck lists out. And then we have Rotted Zombie versus, not sure how to say this.
Labor Sangre.
Okay, Labor Sangre.
Yeah.
I think I'll favor Rotted here. Labor Sangre's been having a bit of a tough season, and yeah, I think we'll probably. My prediction would be that we win the last 4 matches. I'm not gonna lie. So I think we win this one 4-1.
Yeah. I was very taken when I looked at Meowth's his classes. I didn't look at his lists. But he brought Hunter. That's a bit alarming in Wild. Hunter is generally not a bring in Wild, although some players have brought it. I will look at Meowth's full. I just want to see his full brings, because he brought Hunter, Paladin, Priest, Warrior, so he might have brought a bunch of good decks. So he brought even Hunter. That's interesting. Even Hunter, which is like a hero power based deck, essentially. He brought Odd Hunter or Odd Warrior. Nice. You'll love to see the Odd Warrior.
Nice.
Pax Pally and Big Priest. Interesting.
Yeah, he went for a very specific strategy this week of targeting Dark Glare Warlock.
Yes, these are definitely Dark Glare.
Not
These are
pay off,
definitely Dark Glare targets. Yeah, and the Dark Glare probably not great from there. Yeah. But you got the rest of your week. Go. I also would favor you guys in most of the matchups here. Um, it's interesting. I know Electric Sheep City is more of a wild main player, and he is killing it. But he's killing it in Legacy right now. And he's 3-5 in Wild, so it's very interesting. I might be wrong. He might be like kind of he might just be someone who plays both pretty evenly. Um, but Marty versus BOMD, Corbett versus Turtle, I would give pretty heavy. I would think that they're both gonna win. Rotted versus Labor, if I don't know, maybe there's some like specific lineup that Labor brings that Rotted doesn't quite prepare for. But I know your team is so good at their prep, and you guys will know what to have good ideas of what to bring. And if all else fails, there's always just the good decks to bring. So
This is true. Should be a good match.
anyways, yeah, Milo, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not super up to date with Wild, but I think looking at the teams, looking at the record, my prediction is a 3-2 for F2L.
Okay.
I think Get Me Out taking his first loss of the season definitely hits a little bit, because otherwise I probably would have said it's going to be a 4-1. I think Turtle is going to get the win because Turtle has been completely popping off ever since Crash got printed. And then I think the rest of F2L is going to win, and that's going to give them their 3-2.
There you go.
Yeah,
Like a win.
I would believe in Turtle if he wasn't playing Corbett. Honestly, yeah, Turtle's been doing really well. He started out rough, and he's 4-5 now, which is awesome to see.
Definitely.
Turtle just lost in Legacy, so the Crash streak is broken. He did indeed lose. We will
All
talk.
right,
We'll
Corbett's
talk.
gonna win.
We'll talk about that later. So I'm pretty sure he also lost in but I'm not sure. We'll see later. Anyways,
Yeah, Turtle did lose in Legacy.
yes.
Oh, well, it's because his warrior got banned. That makes sense.
Oh,
Can't play
dude.
Crash if there's no warrior.
From the beginning.
Oh, true. Cannot play Crash Shifter. Look, it's not broken yet. Not yet, everybody. So I guess, moving from here, we're gonna go into, like, kind of I guess what you call the second half, but we're gonna go to the commercial break pretty shortly here. We can go down like thoughts on the Wild series, and like I'll pull the standings on my side, and we can kind of discuss how we think the series, where the series is going. What teams do we think get there? Is there any team who's not currently in that top 6 who could potentially get there? Would be kind of where I want to talk here. Top 6, F12 Viridian, everyone's a winner. Mancrook's Revenge, nothing can stop us. Hog Merchants and Hair Club. And then there's a pretty large divide between Hair Club and Annoy.
There's a 12-point gap between Hair Club and Annoyo team, and then Annoyo team honestly through Bash Bros are all pretty close together. And I think that grouping down together at the bottom means I wouldn't say it's likely that any of the teams currently in the top 6 don't make playoffs, but it's certainly possible if there's big weeks for one of those teams or big losses for one of the teams currently in the top.
I wish I had time to bring up Hair Club, because Hair Club's playing Everyone's a Winner this week. So there is potential that they could take a big loss. I don't think they will. I think they'll be fairly competitive with Everyone's a Winner. I think they'll get points even if they do, for sure. Hog Merchants plays. Oh, who they're playing? Hog Merchants play Annoyo. So that's gonna be interesting for Annoyo. Where the kind of it's another situation where the matchups in the middle are all very even and are pretty close to even in like similar records. So like you would think the matches can go almost any which way for that match. Um, yeah, I think you're right. I will say that I think that the top six here will be the top six. As you would, that's gonna happen, or one of these teams is gonna pop up.
I think the top six will probably stay the same, but like you said, I think the big thing here is that Hera Club is playing everyone's a winner, so they could get a big loss this week, and if a Noya team gets a bunch of points, then that gap is completely closed, and it'll come down to the final week.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it really comes down to Hair Club versus everyone's a winner this week to see what happens.
I think interesting. It's so interesting. I think Tell Me I'm a Wreck having to go up against Crab Riders is pretty good potential for them to get a nice week. I won't say that Crab Riders is just gonna absolutely get crushed. And it's really interesting. Tell Me I'm a Wreck is 2-7 on the entire season. They have gotten 2 match wins, but they have 118 points at a 2-7 record.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's a lot of points for losing every week. You're not getting those 3 points a week every time. So yeah, if Tell Me I'm a Wreck has a big week, and Anoyo and Hair Club trip up, they could even make a run. Like the teams that have kind of more close matchups, I don't expect them to be able to really get enough points. But yeah.
Mm.
Otherwise, I think that'll be what. Yeah. Let's move into our commercial break. So, thank you so much for tuning into Tavern Talk. If you're enjoying our show, make sure you check out Around the Saloon on Monday, as well as the Tournament Series Maniacal Monday, and Ronnie Tuesday on Hearth Center on obviously Tuesday. And is that enough? Not enough content for you? Well, we stream THL matches every night from Thursday to Sunday, starting at 8 or 9 p.m. All evening matches are to be determined by caster and player ability. Side effects may include knowledge and fun, but wait, that's not all. We have incredible matches on weekend afternoons on Schoolstone, precise times and days subject to availability. And for Pride Month, throughout the month of June, THL has undergone a mini makeover. The ever talented 2-star Mako has redesigned a beautiful rainbow logo that you will see popping up all over THL on Discord and in the chat with our new emote, and as well as on the the shows on the screens wherever the logo would usually be. Speaking of which, please consider subscribing to our Twitch channel. The subscriptions that your subs allow us to cover the various costs of operating our website and improving our stream quality and content to our viewers. And I see in chat, I have seen it in chat. What is Twitch Prime? And you might be asking, well, Twitch Prime or Prime Gaming is a way for you to link your Amazon Prime account with Twitch and be able to sub to our channel for absolutely free. And especially another reason this month to support THL through bit subs, donations, merch sales. All of it will be going towards the Trevor Project as we celebrate Pride Month. So hit the heart button to follow and keep the notifications on to make sure you catch our streams live. We appreciate each and every one of you. Special note to our viewers, check out other social media points of interest. We have our website, teamhearthlegends.com. We have our Twitter at THL_HS. We have our Discord, which you can find on our website and our Twitter, and the THL Pal podcast, wherever podcasts are sold. All right. I am no Geranium Battle. I hope I did a good job. Geranium, I'm sure you're going to give me crap for it next week. But we have this is the time of the show I have been very excited about the whole time. This is something that is super awesome and that we get to do, which is Hall of Fame, Team Hearth Legends Hall of Fame inductions. And we have 2 people that we will be inducting into our THL Hall of Fame, and our first player going into the Legacy Hall of Fame. He has won 1 Legacy title, but he has won titles in many other series. He has done so much for our community, and he was recently featured in Tavern Talks from the HS Esports. I'm talking about the one and only Itachi. Itachi is going into the Legacy Hall of Fame, and we have a write up from our very own our very own captain extraordinaire, and he also used to play back in his day. That's Sage. It reads, Itachi has been a staple for THL as long as I have been around, and anytime I see him on a team, I know to take note of them and be wary. Itachi is not just a stellar player, but a stellar teammate as well. His participation within his teams is unparalleled. Offering lineup advice and practicing every week with his team is the norm for a player with such high standards as Itachi. So you too should be wary of any team he is playing on. His 5 championship titles reflects this intense motivation to succeed, and it is in honor of his achievements that he has been inducted into the Hall of Fame. His championships being Hero Season 9 with the Cult, Legacy Season 14 with with Fourth and Inches. I should know that. And then he has a wild title from F2L Viridian in Season 1. And then he has 2 pro championships with FTL, are now they're known as F2L. So congratulations, Itachi, and welcome to the Hall of Fame. However, that is not all, everybody. We have another Hall of Famer to induct. This person is also very, very worthy of his induction. We have our first ever Pro Series induction, and this belongs to none other than the undefeated #1 power rank PPR player. It is Liquid Ox of Hype Horizon, formerly of FTL/F2L. So, congratulations, obviously, also to Liquid Ox. I got a very, very long write-up from Robobson, so I have kind of boiled it down. If anybody in the chat here wants to read while I recover my voice, please be my guest.
Yeah, I can go ahead and read off this write-up if you'd like.
Mhm.
All right, this is from Robobson. I would have to duck out mid-season by chance, so I recommended this Ox character to the rest of the team on F2L. And they got him on board. The rest, as they say, is history. From a kid who had a bit of a problem with just chucking out cards to see what would happen, to captain of Hype Horizon and one of the most decorated players in pro history, with 3 championships in 5 seasons, and with what could well be a 4th on the way looking at this season. The improvement in not just his play, but his mentality has been astounding to watch. He always was a fantastic person to have on a team. No one can lighten team morale like a notorious memer, but maintaining a 60% win rate across 6 seasons shows the sheer unbridled talent of this player.
So, obviously, congratulations to Itachi and Liquid Ox for making the Hall of Fame. And I figured that we can talk about, if you guys want to talk about these players for a bit, we can start with Itachi. And then we can give some we can talk about Ox as well.
Yeah. I've known Itachi for a while now. I'm his teammate on AFG, and I mean, he is just such a great guy, fantastic player, fantastic person, does so much for the community, is so good at the game, has such good knowledge about matchups and everything like that. It's just really awesome to see him inducted into the Legacy Hall of Fame. Definitely very, very deserving there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm certainly a little newer to THL, having sort of just joined last season. But even in the short time I've been here, I've already just had a few interactions with Itachi, and he definitely seems incredibly likable, incredibly fun to be around. I haven't had the chance to be on a team with him, but maybe at some point. Maybe at some point.
Yeah. For myself, like I came into THL now 3 seasons ago. And when I joined the AFG Legacy team, Itachi wasn't a part of the team, um, but there was times where he would like give morale to the players. He'd help us out if we needed it, with lineups and decks, even though he wasn't on our team. Um, I think that more has to do with him either not playing in the series at all, or at least not playing in our conference. Anyways, but he's fantastic. I love his attitude, and I love how he's a grinder. He's so good at Hearthstone. He's an even better human being. Like his interview that he gave for HSE Sports was fantastic. I was very happy when I saw that, and to see him, and then to hear that he was getting inducted was just incredible for me. And I guess I'll transition into Ox. I'm pretty new to like all these really great Pro Series players. Um, but everything I kept hearing was just that Ox is nuts, and like he played in Legacy, for the first season that I was in, THL, and I know, like I remember Neji being like, "Man, I got a real tough week ahead," and I see why. Like it's in Pro Series where, uh, the top players from ladder, like so many top ladder players, who are cup grinders and Masters Tour qualifiers, people we've had GMs sub in pro, and we have future GMs playing in pro, and he continues to have so much success. He's literally brought the same lineup every week this season, and he's won every single week. And we'll talk about that match later, obviously. But like, huge congrats. Ox is very very deserving of Pro Series Hall of Fame first ballot. Um, so yeah,
Yep, for sure. He's a fantastic player. I've played against him countless times on the ladder and in different THL series and whatnot, or just like my team facing him. That's happened many times, and he's always somebody you got to watch out for and prep hard for, and just completely insane player. So definitely very deserving for the first Pro Series Hall of Fame induction.
I mean, it's still impressive to me that like you can go and open up the deck list and you click on Liquid Ox, and even the donkey link says
Week
Pro
4.
Week 4.
Yeah,
It is the same 120. We've had at least one balance patch since this lineup. I think there might have been two.
yeah. There were
And
he still brought aggro pally every week.
his opponents knew that it was coming. They knew that this lineup was coming. And he's still undefeated in pro.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
that's something.
Yeah. So for the full write ups on these players, there's multiple write ups. And at least for Ox, there's even larger write up from Rabobson. That'll be on the website at some point. So look out for that in the Hall of Fame section of the website. So congratulations again to these two players. And yeah, I'm gonna do a quick transition back to our screen. We're gonna go into Legacy playoffs here, Legacy quarterfinals. I will be pulling up the bracket. So I'm gonna transition away from us. And boom, brackets are on the board. Our brackets are up on the screen. The wonderful Legacy bracket that Marty B made for Heart Center last night that I just decided to steal for our show. So thank you very much, Marty B, for making these brackets for us. So matchups. I guess we can start on the left side. We have Defias versus Fish, and Do Even Tonk versus Standard T. I mean, I guess, do you want to give just general thoughts and then more solid stuff in actual matches, or do you want to give who you think's gonna win, and then we can use that to transition for the next section?
We could do
Yeah.
predictions now and then
Okay.
go into the individual matches and talk a little bit more about those.
Sounds good. We can do that. All right. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, well, I can start. I sent out messages to a lot of the legacy captains just to ask them for sort of their thoughts going into playoffs. And for this first match for Defias versus Fish, I did get a comment from Trito2, the captain of Fish. The comment he had for the stream was Fish, period.
Good message.
I also got one from the captain Defias comp, saying that they're really looking forward to playoff in Legacy, and they're not gonna take Fish too lightly. They're a strong team, but they've been having a great season, and they're hoping to continue it. So I think as far as predictions, I would have to go for Defias, but I do think it's going to be close. I know a lot of the players on Fish, and they're certainly not slouches.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
I
let's move or go for it.
sure. Um, I think like looking if when we look at this matchup that you'll see kind of I think there's a couple I think Defias has as I would favor them in at least 3 matches. So I think Defias will take it. It's not guaranteed that they're gonna win. But I think gonna take a really good performance from the bottom parts of Fish and a win in the upper half for them to get to. Um, so I would favor Defias in this matchup.
Yeah, I would pick Defias as well here, but I do think it'll be close.
Think
So
moving a little further on in the
sure.
bracket, we have Do You Even Talk versus Standard THL Degenerates. And I was talking a bit with Justin about playoffs, and he was saying that he thinks generally the power level of the teams in Legacy playoffs is lower than it has been in the past. And his comment was essentially the power level is lower, and that means that his team actually has a chance of winning. Um, I think I'm certainly going to be a little biased here because I know almost all of the players on Tonk, and I know how strong of players they all are. But I think I am going to side with Tonk in this match.
Yeah, Ninja, go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
I also think Tonk is going to take it this week. It'll probably be a 3-2. But yeah, I'm going to favor Tonk.
I'm gonna side with Standard THL Degenerates this week. Um, I think because I guess I have knowledge that there's already 2 matches played and it's dead even. Um, I think that the matches that have left are gonna be pretty close, but I would favor Standard TL Degen for all this week. So yeah, I think they're gonna win. And so moving over to the upper right portion of the bracket, we have Dad Legend versus a Noyo team.
We sure do.
Yes.
Um, I did ask Yellow Dart for a comment on this one. Um, he said that he's really proud of just the consistency and the strength of Dad Legend this season. And he said playoffs are great, but all that really matters is titles, and this is the first step. So we're gonna bring it. I followed up by asking him if it was really important for broadcast if he told me exactly what classes and decks your mumcat would be bringing to this match. But for some reason, he decided not to tell me. I can't believe
For
it.
some reason,
Ruining
yeah.
the
I wonder
stream.
ever why he wouldn't want to tell
Unlucky.
you the decks that Mumcat's bringing.
Yeah. But as far as a Noyo team, I think even already, the whole team has really stepped up heading into playoffs in terms of prep, in terms of getting ready for matches. Um, we did sort of barely squeak into that playoff spot, but that's because we had a lot of 3-2 victories. And when you go into playoffs, a 3-2 is the same as a 5-0. If you win the week, you win the week and you move on to the next spot. So I do think a Noyo team has a chance. I am going to favor Dad Legend, though, and I can explain a little more when we get into the specific match.
Gotcha. I it would be so cool to see a Noyo team upset Dad Legend here. But I will favor Dad Legend as well. And obviously we'll get into the match itself for this one. But Dad Legend is so strong. Like they're not like overwhelmingly the strongest team in Legacy. They're pretty close to it, but I think that that they might, if they win, it'll be I think they can squeak it out against the Noyo. But like Milo said, it's even a three, like getting a win, like it doesn't matter how you win. You could win by 1 point, you're still moving on. So that's the important part.
I think a Noyo team's gonna win this week. I really do. But yeah, we'll get into the matchups after.
Sure. I mean, I can see it. We'll get into it. And finally, Hot Zilfs versus Bank Yugi's fan club. So we've got Donde and squad versus Posca and squad. I am going to favor. Bro, this is actually a close one. I had a bit of a hard time picking this week, but I landed on Bank Yugi's fan club to take the week. And it was before I knew about the result that's actually in on the match. So, like we said, we'll be going into these matches right after this, but I think Bank Yugi is going to take this week.
I agree.
I don't know. I'm going to have to side with Zilfs here.
Mhm.
I got a comment from Donde saying they're off to a rough start, but he really believes in his team, and they're not going to lay down and get crushed.
Oh no, I far from it. I definitely think.
And when I scroll up in the conversation, the last thing that we talked about was his hero match, where he said, "Yeah, I'm probably going to lose to Ufric, but I believe in the rest of my team." So
Yeah.
if it's anything like what happened last time, Donde's going to lose, and the rest of the team is going to win. So that's my prediction there.
Nice. So yeah, we've gotten through every match, and so we're gonna start from the beginning. We're gonna go to Defies Brotherhood versus Fish. We're gonna take a look at the match. Up on the screen now. Whoever wants to go ahead and talk about that can go.
I think one of the big reasons I'm going to favor Defias here is Fish has really been very much helped out by their 1 and 3 seeds, Hickett and Dead Snoop. But they're up against what are potentially some of the strongest 1 and 3 seeds in Legacy in Wild 9 and Jester. And I think it's going to be a real test of Fish, because if you're not able to get those consistent results from those seeds, it can be really hard to win when the rest of the team isn't having as great of a performance. Now I've played with Trito too, and I'm familiar with most of the members of Fish. I don't think they're slouches at all, but I think that just the powerhouses that are Wild 9 and Jester are going to make this a really tough week for Fish to get the win.
Yeah, this seems like a week where Fish is gonna need a win in the 4. He's gonna need to win 2, 4, and 5 for the seeds. I talked with Milo about Jester, after recently, and he has been stepping up his game so much. He has improved astronomically at the game of Hearthstone in the last like months. He's 6-2 for a reason. Obviously, Desnoop's 5-3 for a reason. But I think Jester is going to get a nice win here. And Wild 9 versus Hickett. Man, Wild 9's insane. Like, he's 7-1. I think he's just improved and improved, going from like starting. Everyone tells me he started around like 300 or 340 PR, and he's only played for a few seasons, and he's already 550. So that's awesome to see. And this might also be a pretty good week to put like Hockey Boys. If Hockey Boys had to go up against like Hickett or Dead Snoop, it might be a bit more interesting for matchups. So I think even hockey can have a good chance here.
Yeah. I will say I do want to give a shout out to Hickett.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's really stepped his game up as a player. I've sort of played against him and Miami as a whole in TESPA a bit and seen them around the collegiate scene, and uh, the whole team has really stepped up their game. And I think Hickett also in THL has really stepped up his game and really improved as a player. So I wouldn't say it's going to be like a blowout victory for Wild Nine or a blowout for Jester, but I do think they're still slightly favored here.
Mhm.
I think that like the matchups are fairly even, but I'm gonna say Defias wins this one 4-1. I think Two Fly is the only one who's gonna win for Fish, and it's gonna be a bit of a blowout. That's my hot take.
I can see it. I mean, we saw firsthand what Defias could do during the season. They put a good whooping on our team. I I think are you the only you might be the only loss that Wild Nine took this season? No, you played hockey. Sorry, never mind. Wild Nine
Yeah, I
wasn't the one
played
seed
hockey.
yet, but yeah, you played hockey when we went up against them. Yeah. Guess Wow. Move on to our next match. This one's close already. Honk versus Standard THL. The gen got Justin taking a 3-1 over Python and Sheep City taking a 3-1 over Turtle. We are dead tied with 3 matches left.
Yeah, it's a close one for sure. For the last 3 matches, I think that Geranium's gonna pick up the win in the 2 seed. I think Cordon's gonna win the 4, and it's gonna come down to the 5 seed. 2 6 and 2 5 seeds is pretty impressive. But I'm gonna give it to Roofski here and say that Tonk wins this one 3-2 and takes a very narrow win over Standard THL the Degenerates.
Okay, yeah. So we have classes for the Duranium versus Button match. Duranium brought Priest, Rogue, Shaman, Warrior. Button brought Druid, Hunter, Priest, Shaman. We obviously see Quaz's classes. I think that Quaz is gonna take the win this week. Um I looked at the classes and I kind of like Quaz's chances into Brewski's classes. That's why I'm gonna take Quaz. I'm picking Corridon because I believe in my boy Corridon. I know Canoe is a great player. But I'm gonna side with my boy Corridon. And then Button versus Geranium. Gonna be interesting. The class matchups are kind of neat. Um, but I will give it to Geranium. So I think it'll be a 3-2, but I think it's gonna go to standard T. I think Geranium battle and Button are kind of like the battle of people who are under PR'd at 340 to start. So it's gonna be really interesting.
I mean, I'm going to be fair. I think both Geranium and Automated Button are still under PR. I
Oh, they
think
are for sure.
both of them could easily play as 550s on a team
Oh,
and
sure.
still have good records.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the 2 matches we've seen, Turtle taking the loss to Electric Sheep City, um, somewhat expected just looking at the records between them, 7-2 versus 1-7.
Yeah.
Justin getting the win over Mr. Python is definitely very big for Tonk, though.
It really is. Yeah.
Because that is a match that I would think is pretty close. Mr. Python and Justin Time, both fantastic players. And Justin being able to get that win, I think, is going to let Tonk get the victory here. Because I'm going to say Geranium's going to win. I'm going to say Ruski's going to win. And I think Canu also has a chance at winning.
For sure. Edgy.
Yes.
What you think? You said that you think Tonk's gonna. How's it gonna go?
Yeah, I said earlier, I think Geranium's gonna win. I think Corden's gonna win, and I think
Oh,
Roofski's
you did.
gonna.
Of
I think
course.
Roofski's gonna beat Quaz. It's gonna be
Mhm.
close in the 5 seed though. The classes, they might favor Quaz a bit, but I think Roofski's gonna take it. Yeah.
That can happen.
I think the classes favor Roofski if he puts in a lot of prep and a lot of time in deck building. And knowing Justin, I think they're going to put that time in, and that's why I think Roofski's going to win in that 5 seed.
Nice. I like that we have the people taking two different sides on these matches. It's um yeah, there's a lot of matches being played tonight. Yeah, Geranium, we did talk about the revealed classes. So yeah, we have our next match coming in. There is a trend. I literally just went to the Gold Conference and just took screenshots from Gold Conference. You'll see that same thing in Pro. So we have a Noyo team versus Dad Legend. Really interesting matchup, honestly. Um, uh, Speaking of under PR 2 seed, look at this guy. Um,
Actually illegal.
yeah. So we've got Molstar versus Zabe. We've got Naishu Shao versus your head. Catharsis versus Desharmo. Cherub versus Blue Spartan, and then Zethon versus Haster. And I want to start with Neji here because Neji has said that Noyo is going to take the week, and I want to hear, like, I honestly, like, genuinely, like, want to hear because I think this is maybe a bit closer than people would expect.
Yeah. So my reason here is I think the 1 seed is the most important match here. Um, like from records, obviously it looks like Zabe's gonna be favored because he's 6-2 and Molstar's 1-2. But Molstar is a pretty insane player, and um, I think he can definitely pull off the upset here. So if Molstar wins, I'm also thinking Milo's gonna win in the 2 seed. And then I think Zethun's going to win in the 5 seed. So right there, that's already 3 wins for you. I do think the Sharma and Blue Spartan will probably pick up the wins in the 3 and 4. But yeah, if Molestar can get the upset, which I think he can, I think that's the way I'm going to predict this one.
Yeah, I never know how to predict All Star match because, like, I know he's an insane player. So like I don't want to underestimate at all. Like him versus Zabe is, for all intents and purposes, it's an even matchup. Like record doesn't necessarily matter here because Molstar came in as a sub, like at the end, towards the end of the season um for RoboCats, and he has played most of the season. At this point now, like he's played going to his 4th week. Milo versus your mom kid's a super interesting matchup. Um, and gosh, it's tough. Like I would love to see you win, for sure. And I know you're pretty much. I think you're just as good as your head. You just haven't played enough seasons in THL to really get that PR up there. Um, I think Desharmo takes it in the 3. Cherub versus Spartan's an interesting matchup. Cherub's a pretty strong player. Who also came in. It looks like at the towards the beginning of the season as a sub. And then Zethund, or maybe he got subs during the but Zethund versus Haster. I'll favor Zethund, and I guess it would be pretty much just based on PR, but if I see PR stuff is kind of weird. So I think that's a bit more even. I think if I had to give wins, um, Barton, Ducharmo, and Zabe. Zabe barely wins a 3-2 over Molstar. And then I think you take a very close match, and I think Cherub takes it in the 4 over Spartan.
I'm gonna say I'm on Anoyo, so I'm obviously gonna be slightly biased.
Yes.
But I think Zabe, your Mumkad, and Desharmo are gonna win, and I think Cherub and Zethant are gonna win. I do think Mole. I think the 1 and 2 seeds are both pretty close matches.
Yeah.
Even though obviously like record and PR, there's big differences
Hmm.
between them. Um,
Yeah.
and I think Desharmo's the only one that I feel pretty confident in saying there's going to be a win there. And of course, it feels bad to say that I'm confident in someone getting a win against our team, but I do think Q is going to be able to get a couple points even with that loss.
Yeah.
Um,
Q's been fighting really hard this season. I team with him in
yeah,
Hero. He's been he might be struggling a bit, but he's been fighting every week. So I think he'll get points for sure.
yeah, and I think Zethand has been putting in a lot of effort to get ready for this playoffs. So I think I expect the win there.
Yeah.
And I have to predict against myself because anyone who knows me and who's seen me play on streams knows that I'm really good at winning unfavorables when it's very important to win them. So if I say I'm going to lose and I say that your mom kid's favored to win, then that means I'm going to win the match, of course.
Let's
Easy.
go.
Easy.
Yeah. I mean, this is one that I'm gonna keep my eye on. The points are very. It's so weird. It's like Dad Legend has the most. Dad Legend has the highest points in red at like what, 28, and Doyo's only 6 less points. They have the same team records, but 6 less points. Um, Dad Legend's like the number one seed out of red. So it's really interesting. This is a lot. This is like a pretty like. I guess it turns out to look a bit more even. Um, so let's move on to our last one, which is Hot Zilfs versus Banky Yugi Fan Club. We see the result already being a 3-0 win for Posca over Donde. And I think there's a chance that the rest of Zilfs wins. They are playing very well. And they do only need 3 other wins. It might be a bit easier for Bank Yugi's fan club to keep it close on points after a sweep. We have seen teams that get sweeps lose. I think, and I know, and even more worse against Bank Yuki's fan club is they've made playoffs the last 2 seasons, and like with their other team names, and they've lost in round 1, or the first week that they've played, they've lost, or maybe they didn't even make it last season. But I think this time they get out. Their team is so well built. I think the matchup that breaks it for me is Jolt C versus Jim. I think Jolt C being like, in my mind being a pretty. I mean, Jim's a great player, and I got to play him, twice this season. So I definitely don't doubt his ability. No, I didn't get to play him twice. Our team played him in Legacy, and he got a really nice win. But I think Jolt C's just an insane player. He's almost to the same PR as Snake Fods at this point. So I think Agent takes it in the 1. I'll give it to Jammies in the 2. And I'll say Anfall versus Snake Fods is a very close match. But I think Jolt C wins the 5, and I think that's what gives them the 3-2. Like, yeah, so I would say, I think Bank Yuki's fan club gets the 3-2 win. It's really interesting because some playoff matches, like we'll see that they have matches here, and they could be a 3-2, but who knows? It all depends on how fast the team wins, or how close the match turns out overall.
Yeah. I'm gonna give another hot take for this one.
Sure.
I think Bank Yuki's fan club's gonna sweep Hot Zilfs, and all of their players are gonna win, and it's gonna
Dang.
be a blowout. But we'll see.
Dang.
If
So
that
you're
actually
saying
comes-
it goes essentially it just goes 3.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna 3-0 everybody, but I
No,
think
I mean
Agent,
3 matches, and
yeah.
yeah,
I think Agent, Mech, Snake Fods, and Joltzy are all gonna win, and it's gonna be a 5-0.
yeah. I don't know about much about Magnificent. I've seen him talking in the chat in like the Discord recently. Um, I don't. I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't put it past him to win. Like I'm never. I won't. Like just because I don't know a player doesn't mean that they're not a very good player.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Jim Solo sub for his 25 months. Thank you very much for your tier 1 sub. I'm very sorry that you came in at this moment where
Horrible
where we're all
timing.
where you have two people who just predicted that your team isn't gonna win in playoffs. However, still have Milo's take, and I remember him saying that he thinks Zilfs is gonna.
Yeah, I think Zilfs are going to win. I think Coles, Jammies, and Anfall are all going to get wins here. Oh, of course. I guess I'm also predicting that Jolt C is going to win in the 5. But hey, Jim, at least I'm saying your team's going to win.
Use this as fodder to win. Like I would love to see it. You're one of my favorite people that I play in THL. So take this as motivation and win.
Yeah. I'm somewhat familiar with both Jammies and Magnificent, and I think I'm going to go with Jammies there. And Coles versus PWE is definitely going to be close, but I think I'm going to have to side with Coles, and I think Anfall is also going to get the win over Snake Fods, and that's going to be a 3-2 for Hot Zilfs. It's going to be the comeback after Donde loses.
Nice. You'll love to see. Yeah, we have an entire other series to get through. So we're gonna move on now. We're gonna go to pro. Let's just quickly run through the matchups we have. Wash Tappers versus Faction. Popeye Spicy Chicken Sandwich versus Brushy Tuna. We've got Sheepies versus Group Process and Clownstone versus Hype Horizon. So we can just go down the line. I'll start with the top left, like I did last time. Tappers versus Faction. I think Tappers are gonna win.
I think Tapper's gonna win as well.
Yeah, I will third that. I think Tappers are going to win, and I don't think it's going to be especially close.
Oof. Yeah,
I think I agree with that one. Shed Ape is pretty OP.
Yeah, Shed Ape's open. And then we have Popeyes versus Brushy Tuna. I think Brushy Tuna is gonna win. I think they're gonna beat Popeyes.
I think I'm gonna go with Popeyes for this one. I think Popeyes wins.
I think if we weren't starting with an 0-4, I'd predict Brushy Tuna, but I'm going to have to go for Popeyes now.
Oh, we have an 0-4.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was leaning towards Popeyes. It's a tough start for Brushy Tuna.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And then next one we have Sheepies versus Group Process. I'm gonna take Sheepies. It's there. There is a result. Match is a bit closer than a 4-0, but I will say Sheepies takes the week.
I'm gonna go with the upset and say Group Process wins this week.
Nice.
I'm going to be boring and side with Sheepies as well.
Yeah. Maybe there's a chance when I look at these are coming off the top of my head, so there's a chance that I say this now and then I switch it by the end. It'll be me figuring it out. Last one, Clownstone versus Hype Horizon. And I am actually gonna say undecided on this until we actually get into the thing because I have no clue who's winning this match.
I'm gonna say my team wins.
Well, yeah, I'd expect that.
Yeah. I think I'm going to say this is the closest pro match of the week. I think this is the one that could most go either way. And I think it's going to come down to the 5 seed. I think if Super Chicken wins, then Clownstone's going to win. I think if D Money wins, then Hype Horizon's going to win.
Awesome. Got a little bit of differing opinions on some stuff. Let's get into the matches. I'll be switching over now. I will change the flag for the series on the fly here. Yeah, first match on the screen is Faction versus Wash Tappers. Is someone to go ahead and thoughts on the match?
Let me pull that one up. All right, sure. I can cover this one. Yeah, Faction versus Wash Tappers. We have Fogey 8 versus MMW in the 1. MMW is undefeated on the season so far, so I'm gonna have to go with MMW on that one. Then Ufric versus Harash in the 2 seed. I'm also gonna go with Wash Tappers again. I think Ufric's gonna take it there. Then Valdis versus Flying Kraken in the 3. I think that one's gonna be close, but I'm gonna pick Wash Tappers once again. And then we got Unlimited Power versus CMAC. I'm gonna pick Wash Tappers again, so 4-0 so far. And then we have Mojo versus Heat Shock. And you know what? Why not? I'll just round it out and say Wash Tappers are gonna sweep Faction.
Bruh.
Gotta go with the hot takes.
All right, man. Hot takes. I like these hot takes. We're sweeping up here in bro.
Shed Ape is just too good.
My prediction is not much different. I think you got it. I'm gonna take a biased pick at the end and pick my boy Mojo to upset over Heat Shock. He's 2-1 and he's doing really solid in pro. He's 2-1. He didn't like last week. He did have a no contest with D Money, but that takes nothing away from the fact he's playing 2-1 in pro right now. He's just a great player. I think I do favor pretty much most of Wash Tappers, MMW, Ufric, Valdis, and CMAC. I think all have really great chances, especially the top two. Fogey 8's really a fantastic player, so Fogey 8 would be the one, I think, from Faction who could get the win in his seed. But I think Ufric, Valdis, and CMAC, even if MMW does win, I think the other three will. And it would be either a 4-1 or a 3-2 for Wash Tappers.
I'm going to say I think it's also a 4-1 or 3-2 for Wash Tappers. I could definitely see a 5-0 though. I think the only match that's really going to be close is going to be Unlimited Power versus CMAC. I've played against both of them and talked with both of them. I think they're both quite strong players, and I could see that one going either way. I could see Heat Shock losing, but I think Heat Shock's match is going to be decided before a game is played. I think Heat Shock is going to bring a Heat Shock lineup, and if the lineup works, he's going to win the match, and if the lineup doesn't work, he's going to lose the match. And I think that one you'll be able to look at the decks and tell who's going to win before it starts.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
True.
Yeah. Right, so let's go to our next match, which Brushy Tuna versus Popeye's Spicy Chicken Sandwich. I didn't realize there was a result, but I'm gonna guess Mick took a 3-0 sweep over Isocles. Looking at it.
No, Ron got swept.
Ron got swept by GR Jim. Okay, that is interesting. Wow, this is gonna be a very interesting. I mean, I still think that Brushy Tuna can take the week for sure. I think Wet Goose versus Lotus is so interesting. I know Wet Goose is a very, very strong player. But I also know how good Lotus Knight is. So I'm not gonna. So I think it's a close one. I will give it to Lotus. I think in the 2 seed Based versus Zabe, such an insane matchup to see those two playing. I'll favor Based, so I see. So the 1 and 2 for Brushy Tuna take it. We saw that Ron has been swept, so unfortunately, can't predict him to win. So good job, GR Jim, on getting the win. Um, and Isocles versus Mick. I mean, they both brought some good classes. Um, I would have to look at the lineup specifically, make like maybe a more accurate prediction. I think it's super interesting. I think if I had to take a guess, I would say I'll give it to Mick, and it'll be to go to 2-2, and then I think DeSharmo clutches out the win against Myanodon and Brushy Tuna on.
I do think this is going to be a really, really close one.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Wet Goose the edge in the 1 seed. I'm going to go for Bay Stink in the 2. I'm going to say Mick wins in the 4 seed and Ducharme wins in the 5. So that'll be a 3-2 for Popeyes.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see this easily going the other way. Like, these are two insane teams. They're just stacked players all the way up and down. Really could go either way. It's really going to be depending on what these lineups look like for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to favor a 3-2 for Popeyes. There's decks in for Isocles
There
versus
is.
Mick, and I think looking at those decks, I'm going to favor Isocles slightly there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think Bay Stink is going to get a win. So I think Wet Goose, Jim's already gotten the win there, and Myanodon are going to get wins for Popeyes, and that's going to let them win the week.
Nice. Really, super interesting how we all kind of came to how you guys came to different conclusions. I didn't see the list for Mick and Isocles until now, but I can definitely see it favoring Isocles in looking at the list. So if that happens, if that was the prediction, that would even mean that like I would be saying it's a 4-1 for Brushy Tuna, which it can happen. I don't think it will, but it could happen for sure. Oh my gosh, I forgot to transition the screen. There's the match, everybody.
No.
My apologies. We've been talking about this match and it hasn't been on the screen because I didn't transition. There it is up on the screen.
Okay.
It is the screenshot isn't up to date anyways. The 3-0, it's a 4-0 now currently because they were playing while the show was going. Yeah. Let's move on. We're gonna keep this rolling. Got Group Process versus Shees, which has one result in. Azonix took a 3-2 over Goose. So we've got a Boolean versus Cyan Sheepy, Rice Bowl versus Y the Hunter, Solo Jazz versus Mikas, and Taco Cat versus Always Lethal. This is so interesting. I'm looking at these, and the records are so similar down the line from for these matches. Like only like a few matches apart. And I picked Sheepies to win. I think that the wins will come from Azonix, Sheepies, and Y the Hunter. I think they'll be the ones who win, with Solo Jazz and Taco Cat winning for Group Process. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout by any means. I think that Group Process is definitely capable of pulling the up, and I know Neji predicted it. So
Yeah. I think Boolean, Rice Bowl, and Taco Cat are gonna win their matches, and I think Mikas will beat Solo Jazz. But honestly, these could go either way. That's just my prediction.
Mhm.
And Pro Series is honestly a toss up. Like the players are just insane. A lot of it comes down to prep and your lineup and how well you've countered your opponent. So
Mhm.
again, we're gonna have to wait until we see the lineups to really make a solid judgment call.
Yeah, that's the hard part about looking at this in Pro is like lineups matter so much. Like in
Yeah.
Legacy and Hero, it's a bit easier to be like you see these classes. It's even almost more difficult seeing classes there just to predict a winner, because like, somebody could be bringing a really strong class, but then they throw in a couple of weird janky techs, and all of a sudden it's not as good. Something like that could happen. But anyways,
Or you run into me in Legacy, and you bring a class, and then I hard target that class, and you don't see it coming.
yeah,
Which has
exactly.
happened a few times.
Yeah. Anyways,
But
Milo, go ahead.
I I think this is going to be a 4-1 for Sheepies. I think Sheepies is a team that not only has a lot of strong players, but a team that works really, really well together. And I think that's really going to shine, um, especially in playoff. It's been sort of shining throughout pro. That's why they are 7-1. But I think they're going to continue to work really well together as a team, and that's going to lead to a 4-1 for them. I think Rice Bowl is going to get the win over Why the Hunter, and I think the rest of Sheepies is going to win.
Nice. So we've got one match left, and this is the match that the points are quite like it's kind of like that same type of points difference between Sheepies and Group Process, but but it's weird. It just looks so very close on paper. We're looking at it, even though we see this is Clownstone versus Hype Horizon. I'll let Neji run through this one.
Sure. So in the 1 seed we have Liquidox versus myself. Liquidox is 8-0. Just got inducted into the Pro Series Hall of Fame, but I'm winning. Don't you worry.
Let's
Um,
go.
Next we have McBanterface versus Nails. That one, that's just a toss up. Like that's two just honestly, that's two of NA's like top players. Like this is going to be an insane match. That one's definitely gonna come down to deck lists and see who's favored there. Gamer RVG versus German Shep, another insane match. I'm gonna give it to Shep on this one. Killis Luna versus Cool Kid, also really close, like all of these matches. I'm gonna give it to my team again. And I'm gonna say Super Chicken also wins, so boom, 5-0 Clownstone. Easy.
Bias, let's go. You'll love
What?
to
No
see it.
bias here. It's just an
Yeah,
easy 5-0.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
Easy.
Winning
Easiest
five
5-0
toss
of the
ups,
season.
five toss up matches. They all go to one team.
Of course.
Well, they've got to go to someone.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, I do think that it's going to be close in really all of the seats on this one. I think it's unlikely that Hype Horizon rolls over again. I think I'd expect Liquid Ox might not bring Aggro Secret Paladin for the 10th week in a row, considering they're in playoffs now, but you never know. Um, I am going to side with Neji and say Neji is going to win that one, but I think I'm going to go for McBanterface in the 2 seed. Um, uh, German Shep and Gamer RBG are also both really, really strong players. I think I'm going to go for Gamer RVG there. And then I think I'm going to go for Kylace in the 4 seed. It's Super Chicken in the 5. So I think it's going to be a 3-2 for Cloudstone.
Easy.
Easy. All right, my turn to think this over. Liquid Ox versus Neji. Well, Ox hasn't submitted anything yet, as far as I know, and it's very late for him in his time. So maybe he'll. I mean, there is a chance that because he pretty much like might even be waking up like as submissions are due. So who knows? He might submit. If he doesn't submit new lists, I think Neji will win. And if he does, I mean, there's still like I think if he does bring new stuff, I think it'll be close. I will side with my boy and say Neji wins. Banter versus Nails, that's a toss up. Um, I'll give it to Nails. Gamer RVG versus Shep. That another toss up. I will say that I'll give it to Shep, and then I think Hype Horizon wins the other two. I think Cool Kid wins over Kalis Luna. Obviously, this is all deck list submission dependent by the end of it to see who actually is gonna win. Who might actually have the edge. And I think D Money versus Chicken is very interesting. But they're playing on Friday Junior, so I'll give it to D Money.
I'd
So
say
Reasonable.
I think I'm siding with RVG over Shep because what is it? RVG is a really, really good Miracle Rogue player, and German Shep is nutty on the Token Druid, but Miracle Rogue beats Token
Oh,
Druid.
that
So
is
that's
oh
why I have
that
to
is
side with
true.
RVG there.
Oh, nice.
Um,
We're going with the matchup
and
that I can never. We're gonna say that the person who I can't win on the rogue side myself, but obviously you're very good at the deck. You will know how to pilot it against uh against Druid. So
Just lightning bloom out your Glowfly. It's easy to win.
yeah,
very true.
gonna. I don't think there's nobody's else's. Yeah, so we don't know if either player is bringing Token Druid or Miracle Rogue. It's all speculation at this point. But yeah, we're
Highly spec.
an hour and a half
To be
in, and
fair,
we're an hour and a half in, and we finally have covered all the matches. So
I would say to be fair, I'd be really surprised if people didn't bring Miracle Rogue to Pro right
oh,
now.
sure.
I think
I'd be very surprised, but I'm saying like because Druid has multiple. So I thought I'm taking it from the perspective of maybe Token maybe Shep decides Token's not the play this week. It is a very good deck though. Yeah, just run low with him easy. Yeah.
It's simple as.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm super excited for both playoffs. For sure. I love watching. I love seeing how pro playoffs goes. Um, and being someone who plays Legacy, plays Hero, like seeing those series go in towards playoffs, and it's always fast. It's always interesting, and I always get myself hyped up for it. It's gonna be interesting not having any teams in playoffs so far. Um, yeah, got nothing left for we have nothing left for way of matches, so we're gonna go back to the or back to the main screen. Um, so yeah, we do not have any interview this week. All three of us have done interviews in the past or in the last 2 weeks. Um, so I will say we do have. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the scheduling to see what matches are being played when. I know for a fact that tomorrow we have one match. We have Agent PWE versus Coles in Legacy. That was confirmed to me, before the stream started. So so far we still have an 8 o'clock or an 8 o'clock and 10 p.m. spot for Eastern time. That is, we'll pretty much take any Legacy, Hero, or Pro match. We don't have enough. It might be a bit difficult to get enough wild casters for it. But Friday night fights, we have a pretty good slate of matches. I believe we have Jester versus Dead Snoop, 1, 2, 3. And we have there's another Legacy match, I believe, or a Hero match actually. It's Wild 9 versus Hickett in Legacy, and then I guess at 9 p.m. there's Mr. Python versus Adair, and 8 p.m. Jester versus Dead Snoop. So we've got two Legacy quarterfinals matches in Defias versus Fish. And then at 9 p.m. we have Hero Series match, Ask Chess versus Murloc and Load. I don't have anything known about Schoolstone or Salty Saturday yet. If you want to play at those times, you want to play Saturday afternoon for a wild match. You can contact myself or Marty B, and I'm sure we can get you scheduled. Salty Saturday, you can contact myself. And then for Sunday Schoolstone as well, if you want to play, you're playing a playoff match on Sunday afternoon, or Legacy Hero or Pro. DM me. And I think it'll be a bit difficult on Sunday Schoolstone since it is Father's Day. So I'll say probably no Sunday Schoolstone. Sunday Showdown, I think we have a couple of matches, but I do not know about that. But stay tuned. Stay tuned for all the matches that will be taking place this weekend. Yeah, I mean, this has been a fun show. I really enjoy doing this every week. Thank you to our guests. Thank you, Neji and Milo, for coming on. Next week, I believe we should have one or both of my other regular co-hosts back. And if you do want to guest next week, just shoot me a DM on Discord. That'd be great. We can have people on for any series at all. So it's yeah. Any last thoughts from you guys before I go ahead and do the wrap up?
I just think it's going to be an exciting playoffs for pretty much every series, and looking forward to watching some matches this weekend and seeing how it all plays out. And thanks for having me on the show. It was a good time.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, thanks for having me on as well. I think it's exciting. It's very nice to be in the playoffs this season. Um, and I'm very much looking forward to hopefully having one of my matches covered next week.
yeah, that'd be fantastic. Um, so we do have a we do have a match result in late for Tonk versus standard THL that Ruski has lost 3-1 to Quaz. So yeah, it looks like Geranium's match pending that Canoe pending that the points don't get too far out of hand with Canoe versus Canoe versus opponent. Corridon. Oh my gosh, how could I forget Corridon? The answer is that I don't have the matchup in front of me, so I didn't look at that. But yeah, so that'll be a tight one. Geranium will be on stream Sunday night, so that'll be interesting to play for all the marbles for that match, potentially. So
All right, Geranium, just make sure to not put clowns in your deck because there's a direct correlation between you playing clowns and you losing on stream.
yeah, easy. No clowns equals easy. So yeah, gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream. Thank you everybody for watching. If you would like to support us in our efforts to support the Trevor Project for Pride Month, link is down in the description below for any direct monetary donations, but any subs, donations, and merch sales, I believe bits as well. They will all be going towards the Trevor Project this month. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Milo and Edgy, for guesting. And everybody, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening. And tune in tomorrow for at least one match. But so we'll see you all for Thursday Throwdown. Until then, stay safe and have a great rest of your night.